Mrs. Clinton's firewall is South Carolina because you're not polling as well down there. I don't know how things are going to turn out, but I am from South Carolina, so I wanted to educate you a little bit on my home state, okay? If you're going to get the vote down there, you have to eat boiled peanuts. That's a boiled peanut. You can have that with a nice beer. You want a beer? All right. This is a little... You like them? Yeah.
There you go. He's becoming a thing, isn't he? Bernie Sanders having fun last night with Stephen Colbert. He was on Saturday Night Live just this past weekend. But getting some advice from Colbert on the South Carolina primary, that is next after his huge win in New Hampshire on Tuesday, 22-point victory over Hillary Clinton. We've talked about Bernie Sanders and the movement that is really pushing him along now, such enthusiasm for his political revolution. You might think it's Americans, of course, obviously they have the greatest stake. But this morning, you're going to meet a Canadian who actually traveled some 12 hours to Littleton, New Hampshire, to help in the Sanders campaign. Good morning to you, Jason Erb.
Good morning.
Good to speak to you so soon after your return from New Hampshire. Thanks for being here. I have to ask first the why. What is it that motivated you to make the drive from your home in Kingston there all the way down to New Hampshire to take part as a Canadian in an American campaign?
Well, I had a free Sunday. And yeah, Bernie Sanders is, to me, he seems like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of a candidate. He's extremely honest. He's got what appears to be unimpeachable character, and he seems to really be concerned about people, just about the welfare of people. And as a Canadian, I mean, there are a lot of issues that apply to me that the U.S. Has a big stake in. Climate change, the world economy, the banks. The banks are bigger now, the big banks are bigger now than they were before the financial collapse when they had to be bailed out because they were too big to fail. So that seems like a house of cards that's just teetering, and he's the only candidate that has committed to to break up the banks, to reinstate a modern version of Glass-Steagall.
Right. But it's so interesting. Jason, you've touched on the traits that we hear people talk about over and over, the true person that he is, the authenticity that seems to be Bernie Sanders, and also the aspects of his message and platform that are appealing to you. And that's what people in the States are saying about him. So give me your sense. You were surrounded by those people when you went down there for the day of campaigning with them. What's the mood like in the Sanders campaign? What's the atmosphere as they watch him do very well in these early stages?
It was a hive of excited activity. There were a lot of people there. It was very well organized. I was extremely impressed. I walked in. There were people. It seemed like a cross-section of all of New Hampshire was there demographically. And they gave me a list. I paired up with somebody who was from the area, and we knocked on doors and spread the gospel of Bernie.
So when you did that door knocking, what did you hear from potential New Hampshire voters about Bernie, but also about maybe some of the other candidates in this race?
Yeah, it was very interesting. To be honest, there was not a lot of Hillary support, which I was surprised about. A lot of people, in fact, I spoke to several lifelong Republicans who only voted Republican, but they said, you know, I like this Bernie Sanders. I like him better than the Republican candidates, and I'm terrified of Hillary Clinton becoming president. So that was one group, and I was very surprised about that. But yeah, not a lot of Hillary support. It seemed like there was Bernie support across all walks of life that I talked to.
So,
yeah,
because of the things that he's tapping into, people feeling on the outside, people feeling excluded, liking his message about rigged economy and not for them. It's really interesting. Hillary, did you get any read on, I mean, I don't know whether you can speak to this personally too. Why do you think her support has evaporated in some places? Why do you think she did so poorly in New Hampshire? Why is she failing to connect?
Well, I'm not a huge Hillary fan, and you know, I don't want to slam her. I think it's more about the fact that people are so excited about Bernie.
Okay.
I think the more they learn about Bernie, the more interested and excited they get. And I think Hillary was doing well in the beginning because she had so much name recognition. Everybody knows Hillary Clinton. So I think as people learn more about Bernie, his numbers go up and her numbers go down.
Well, I'll tell you, one number that did go up, he took in $5 million+ just in the day after that New Hampshire victory. So that gives him a lot of money to continue on with his bid for the White House. When you were there surrounded by his team, I mean, did you get any sense this is a candidacy that would have been unfathomable just a year ago? Nobody thought this was possible. Now he's bringing in millions in 24 hours. What are you hearing from people there about how long they think he can run, whether this is going to be drawn out on into the spring, whether this right onto the convention floor? What are they talking about as far as the future goes?
Oh, I think the sense is that he's taking it all the way to the White House. I think with this New Hampshire, part of the reason I wanted to do this was because New Hampshire was so important for his momentum. With Iowa, he lost it by 0.2%. It was very close, but he established his credibility that he could challenge Clinton. So everybody was watching New Hampshire to see if his momentum would carry, and obviously he trounced Hillary. I think it was 22.4. I think he was even higher than 22 lead. So now that he's got that huge New Hampshire win, everybody's thinking maybe he can do it. And then, like you said, all the money he's raised, and he keeps raising it. A lot of Hillary's donors are maxed out, but he's got all these small donations. People just keep donating. So I think he's going to have plenty of money to take him all the way.
I think the average donation was $34 from each individual, and he's out fundraised Hillary Clinton in January for the first time yet. Listen, Jason, I have to let it go at that. It's so interesting to talk to you. Just very quickly, do you think you'll be joining up with the campaign again at some point in another primary?
Oh, I'd love to. That Michigan primary is looking tempting.
Oh, the issue of Flint. That's a good one to drive you to involvement. Okay, thank you so much. What a pleasure to meet you, Jason. Appreciate the conversation this morning.
You too, thanks.
There's Jason Erb, active in the Bernie Sanders campaign in the United States.